Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a sketchy little knife disassembly for you on this little guy. This is the CRKT Sketch. So, interesting piece. I'm very curious. It looks like there are full liners underneath this plastic here, but maybe not. We'll find out. I'm looking forward to taking this guy apart, though. Right now, oh, by the way, the action, well, actually, I've already started to loosen it. Well, we'll figure out what the centering is at the end of it. Whoops. But it had some play anyways, so I suppose I shouldn't use that as a guide. I'm going to ahead and use a T8 Torx bit to pop out the pivot. We'll use T6 back here. Okay, are you spinning freely? Yes, you are. That's a corner cut. What that means is that you need to have another T6 screw on the other side, or driver that is on the other side, to keep these screws from spinning around freely. That's not great, but it is what it is. Pop this loose. Come on. Why are you not... Am I turning the wrong side of this Chicago screw? Is that my life? Yeah, I think I was. All right, whatever. So that's in the back. Let's see if I can just turn this side on this and it'll come loose. No, it's going to free spin. All right. Isn't that nice? You know, this had better be cheap. That's what I'm going to say immediately. I often, as I've mentioned previously, try and do my reviews, or at least a good part of my review process, without knowing the price of a knife, just so that way I can kind of develop my own sensations. Ooh, sensations. My own ideas about how much a knife should cost before I know how much CRKT thinks this knife should cost. And, you know... Come on. Is this plastic like molded shut or something? What's our issue here? It's not the clip. Come on. Well, I mean, that's part of the issue, I guess. What the heck, guys? I think it's just... Okay, it's working its way apart. There we go. Alrighty. Oh, that's your stop pin. Beautiful. So, it looks like we have one phosphor bronze and one Teflon washer, which means we're going to have half a decent action when the thing is done. Why, guys? I'm going to go ahead and clean this guy out with some rubbing alcohol here on this little fabric swatch. If you are ever interested in the tools I'm using to disassemble my pocket knives, go on ahead and check out. I have a whole video called Knife Disassembly Tools, in which I predictably talk about knife disassembly tools. There we go. Clean this off. This is coming with a very nasty grease on it, which I suspect once we clean this off, the action will become better, because, yeah, that's ugly. Let's go ahead and pop this loose, degrease it a little bit. The phosphor bronze washer, well, no, that looks like brass, actually. Again, this thing better be real cheap. Put it that way. But the brass washer there, does it even say the steel? Nope. Alrighty. Oh, CRKT. Anyways, the brass washer goes on the side with the lock, which makes sense because it is the smaller of the two washers. So, there you go. Oh, boy. Now in my head, I'm trying to figure out, okay, like, how low can they go? Hoping maybe 25 bucks on the basis of this. You know, I might be more interested at like 15. I don't think they're going to get that low. But we'll find out before the review sometime. Well, I'll find out. You'll probably find out long before the review as well, because you'll probably go look it up. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and clean out the inside of the blade. I'm going to spray rubbing alcohol everywhere. But the goal here is just to remove the last of this gunkitude, and I'll do that on the inside of the washers as well, because seems like a safe bet. And actually, here we go. Clear this out. Ooh, that's grody. And clean this out as well. Alrighty, so I believe... Oh, and we clean off the pivot, which is also coated in a liberal coating of whatever cheap grease they are using there. So, let's go ahead and pop this guy back together here. What am I going to use to reassemble this? I'm thinking lubrication here. So think it aloud. At one level, so I have two immediate choices. I have nano oil is my lubrication of choice, but I have a thicker weight and a thinner weight stuff. This is never going to be an action showpiece. Let's just be real here. So what I think I'm actually going to do is use the thicker stuff. It's a little closer in consistency to the grease that they were using from the factory here. But it works better. And, you know, it should provide a nice smooth motion, at least as smooth as the freaking Teflon is going to let us get. So, yeah. In case you can't tell, I am slightly biased there. I really just personally, as a human, deeply dislike the feeling of a blade spinning against the Teflon washer. It's got this stick-slip nastiness that's just, like, personally abhorrent. Like, I acknowledge the knife opens fine. It works, but, guys, come on, do better. All right, there we go. And then I'm also going to put a little bit of this lubrication onto the detent ball path, just like so. That way, as I open the knife, it will be a little smoother in that domain. Okay, so this has a D-shaped pivot, and that D shape is facing backwards on this liner, so I want to make sure everything's in proper alignment as I put things back together here. Okay, that's in position now. Stop pin, here's the stop pin. Go ahead, is the stop pin symmetrical? Yes, it is. Sometimes they are D-shaped on one side and not on the other. And I'll go ahead and release the lock there as I put in my stop pin, because very often you can't insert the stop pin fully with the blade in the with the lock in its fully upright position. Okay, that was maybe a little much in the way of lubrication, but that's okay. I'll just leave the Teflon unlubricated on the other side there. Alrighty, what am I missing? I got 2 screws. Let's just drop this guy back together. Hopefully I have the pivot properly angled here so that it will pop in place. I'm going to remove some tension from the system by closing the blade. Yeah, everything seems to be in position here, which is good. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and, while maintaining a little bit of pressure on the downward pressure here, is this the screw? No, of course not. I'm going to go ahead and drop this screw into this bit, that is. There we go. Come on. Pinch this down, drop this into place here. Beautiful. And now we can go ahead and put in these other 2 screws. I've left that relatively loose because, you know, we're going to be putting in other screws. Don't want everything super tight during that process. I'm using, what you see in here is a blue thread locker stick. The thread locker is just going to help to keep these screws from coming out as you use them on a regular basis. And it's free spinning again. That's okay. Right now I want to get these both in there. And I'll tighten them up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so actually I am going to go ahead and give another round of tightening to those free spinning screws just to make sure that everything is sort of buttoned up here. There we go. Probably don't need to go as tight as this, but I want to make sure. Okay. Whoa there, that's way too freaking tight on the pivot. Oh, God, that action's awful. Alrighty, let's go ahead and loosen the pivot screw a little bit here. That sucks less. Let's loosen a little more. That's better. Is there a little bit of play there? Centering's okay. It's still not a good action, but it works. There we go. Yeah, this thing better be nice and cheap. There is maybe the slightest hint of play. Let's see if I can tighten this just a little smidge and see if that'll help banish that. Yeah, that's banished. Yep, there you go. All right, there you go. So that's the CRKT Sketch. Oh, cricket. But I'm going to do a full review of this guy, and keep an eye out for that here coming up soon. But hope this has been interesting to you, that this was not too sketchy for you, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.